Tex-Mex chat, what's going on? We're back and better than ever as always. I'm your host, Mark Marenko. Welcome to Finding Texas, presented to you by INCRadio, Texas Satellite Studio. Join with me are a couple of my friends here on INCRadio, Mayfan, JT, and Abby. Say what's up, guys.
How's it
Hello,
going, everybody?
hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
I always love a show with these guys because we always end up saying some of the most amazing things and having the most amazing conversations ever. Don't you guys agree?
We do. The most random things, the most funny things, the most inspirational things. Surprisingly, they come out. Why?
The most adventurous things, especially on a program like Finding Texas.
Exactly. But some tips, some tricks, and all of those fun stuff.
And speaking of adventures, what better adventure would it be to always tune into us every Friday night at 9 p.m. And so we want to encourage everyone to, if you haven't already done so, hit the like button if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button, and be sure to turn on that notification bell so you can stay tuned in on everything INC Radio Texas. And so in the spirit of finding Texas, right, in order to really understand Texas in itself, we also have to understand who we are and where we are from. Not only that, to understand the different things when it comes to traveling, which includes travel etiquette. And so, before we begin, we're going to go ahead and ask everyone to participate in this by asking a couple questions along the way, okay? So, we're going to be discussing about travel etiquette from across the states and then eventually going back to our hometown of Texas. So, guys, are you ready for today's conversation?
Sure.
Yes, ready as I'll ever be.
All right, and so we're gonna first take our conversation towards the Midwest. All right, and so for everyone tuned in, the question is, if you're from the coasts, right? I know I am. Did the Midwest feel nice, or did the Midwest nice feel comforting, or kind of suspicious at first, right? Uh, from our panelists here, were we kind of surprised of the Texas hospitality or like the Midwest hospitality when we first got to experience it coming here? Was that something like really like changing when we first started to visit?
I feel like for me, yeah, it was very different, especially if you're straight from the Philippines. I feel like the hospitality when you're in the Philippines is just up here. The standards is up here. And then once you move, it's like, oh, we're on our own. Interesting. But it's not really something bad or anything like that. It's just more so everybody's so focused on their careers, I guess. That's why maybe it's so different. I feel like that was really the first thing that caught my attention because I'm so used to people welcoming, very warm. So that's, I guess, I won't say it's suspicious because there was nothing suspicious about it. It's just we're all growing. We all have different phases in our lives. But I'm gonna say like it wasn't as comforting as expected, but it was there. It was there. Some people were trying, and I appreciate that a lot. But everybody's just busy, I guess. So
No,
that's one thing.
definitely like a change of scenery from like Philippines to America. It definitely is in itself a something to adjust to, right? With all the love coming from the Philippines, and then here more focused on like ourselves, more focused on like the American dream. So it's definitely a taste to really get acquired for, right? Abby, what about you? I know that you also coming from the Philippines might be experiencing the same thing, but wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I definitely do agree with Mayfan. I mean, I think I moved here like when I was really young. So I think as a kid, I just remember having this like vision of, I don't know, I would always see America in movies and everybody looked so magical and, you know, school people dancing on top of tables. But when I got here, it was kind of just like, I don't know, every man for himself. And oh, my dog's a little excited too. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just I remember kind of it being like a culture shock. So yeah, I mean, definitely a very different experience for me, for sure.
And so, like for sure, going from country to country is a change within itself. But even like from state to state, is a big can also have like a huge impact on the way that we interact with people or experiences just going around, right? And so with our resident Hawaiian over here, JT, what was what was that change like? You know, going from like the Hawaii vibe, go more to like,
Just that uh Hawaii is very much a very big part of my life because that's where my dad is from. That's where his family um, uh, moved to from the Philippines, and then of course I wasn't born there. I haven't been there first time until until I had just learned how to walk and talk. And then they're both very much different, very much different cultures. Hawaii, of course, it's more on that, more of that island life, close to the mountains, close to the shores, close to the seas. And of course, here in the U.S., we're more flatland here in Texas. But wow, it's it's definitely a culture shock, considering considering the geography of both places. Um, but what I find one thing that I find similar to both is that cities, uh, both cities, they both give me that that feeling of family, right? And we've heard that phrase from those movies. Ohana means family, and it really does. And then I also feel that same feeling here in Texas, here in the Midwest, um, uh, here in Texas.
and for everyone in the chat, you know, please leave a comment as well. What experience that you've had in your hometown or wherever you go that makes it feel like family, right? So we can read them later on in the show. And so for everyone now, I wanted to go ask, right? We have the experience of moving here, right, into part of the Midwest, right, and having that vision of like, okay, this is how I see Texas. This is how it's adapting to me. So then that's coming from the perspective of someone who's here. So what was that? Has that perspective changed from when you first got here and you were like playing tourist, right? Has those travel etiquettes or has that travel perspective changed for you in any way or fashion? I'll start off with Mayfan on this.
It did. It did change a lot, but though still the feeling of everybody's on their own is still there. But also the more you explore, the more you do adventures, the more you get your routine together basically. You really get to see like this place is really diverse. It's very diverse and it's a mixture of a lot of routines, a lot of behaviors, a lot of hospitality wise basically. Like some people would greet you good morning, some wouldn't even acknowledge you, some would hold the door, some would close on you. So there's really a lot of, it's very different, the experience is very different, but still you can still see like people are just here to survive basically. That's the baseline of it. But once you get to meet those people that are genuinely enjoying life, they learn to love where they're at. Like they really make living here bearable and more memorable basically. Everything is, well, how would you say it, like everything is a core memory basically when you spend time with them. Like let's say us, when we see each other in activities, we create those memories that we would forever cherish. Like last time we had that district activity, we took a lot of photos. So now looking back at it, you're like, oh, these people, I'm gonna miss them. So that kind of thing. And again, the people that you meet, it's either they're gonna make you feel at home or they're gonna make you miss home. It's really how you interact with them basically. I guess that's the change that I really got to learn when I moved here.
And I love that, you know, because then like playing tourists both here in the States and in Texas and even in the Philippines, like yeah, the the love is still there, right? But it's just a different kind of love, right?
Yes.
And that love goes everywhere, no matter where you're at. It's just a matter of how you're finding that love.
Yes.
JT, I wanted to get your take now. Uh, has your perspective of Texas changed? From first time being a visitor, the Midwest. Has your perspective of the Midwest changed from being a visitor and then now being like a permanent resident?
Uh, it's funny because the more I stay here in Texas, the more I live here in Texas, it just makes me appreciate the culture here even more. Because of course, everywhere I go, the people around me, some of them are always like talking about the places where they're from or the places that they'll be moving to soon, and then and they have very valid reasons for for uh for moving to those different cities that like and they would say stuff like, "Oh yeah, I want to move to New York." "Oh, why New York?" I don't know. That's just that's just where my heart is. Home is where the heart is, and yeah, reasons like that are pretty valid. And when I go visiting to places like that, to places like New York, places like California, places like Hawaii, um, uh, I do appreciate the lifestyles there, but then whenever home, there's something that's just keeping me um uh just anchored down here, and it's one of those things that you can't really uh just put into words. I guess that's I'm a little biased because I'm born here, but yeah, this is I mean this is where I'm from, you know. This is
Yeah,
where I'm
it's
from.
very different.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we have several different perspectives here. In fact, I think on this panel, I'm the only one here that's born and raised here.
Yeah, but I feel like the feeling is mutual because I feel the same way when I fly back to the Philippines. It's like it's always like, do I really need to go back? Kind of feeling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then and I'm not gonna lie, because I was in the Philippines last year, and then seeing it then as a fully grown man, I'm like, oh wow, okay, should I? Okay, and
You miss
now it's
out.
oh man, I'm only going to be here for a month. Do I really want to move away from this? but then, but then coming back home, going back to my regular routine and doing the things I do for leisure, I start to find the reasons why I wanted to stay here, uh, even more. Like I said earlier, this is where I grew up. This is where I had my character development. More importantly, this is where my faith grew also.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
yes, so that's what made me want to stay here even more. Will I move away? Will I move out? We'll find out.
A lot of prayers.
Most definitely, most
And
definitely.
we love to hear it, right? Like, despite those cultural differences from like your hometown to where we're at right now, well, like we said, the main goal is like being able to find that sense of home no matter where you're at,
Mhm.
whether that's the people around you, the experiences that happen around you, or even finding that right community to be able to help you get through the next part of your life, right? And so for our audience here, the question for you is, where have you traveled in the U.S. that culture different from your hometown, and what etiquette stood differently out to you, right? And so now that we're talking about these differences from our hometown to a different place, I kind of want to take us now to the West Coast, right? uh, LA, Seattle, San Francisco, right? Everybody loves that, right? I wanted to go ahead and now ask Abby, right? What do you think of when you hear like LA, SF, San Diego? What do you think of?
Yeah, so the West Coast, definitely I have like, big city, lots of people, stardom, Hollywood, just kind of like the big
Hollywood was the
leagues.
first word that came to my mind also.
Of
Hollywood celebrities
course.
running into TV stars on the street,
Yeah, I
even though that
mean,
can be.
I've never really thought about it that way, but people online always talk about how they'll see like random celebrities just walking down the street. And I mean, I don't know, as someone who lives in Texas, it's kind of just like how does that even how does one even like go about with that?
Yeah, it's crazy because then so I'm originally from the Bay Area. Bay Area. I know it's what we say in the Bay Area, okay? And so like being in SF, you don't get a lot of that star power. But then living in like Southern California specifically, yeah, like every other like week or two, I'd always like bump into a random superstar, right? I think one time we were at like the movie theaters, right? And oh no, so we were at a amusement park, and we saw
Story
uh,
time.
we saw a NBA MVP that was recently there, and so like you can tell, right? Because then they just stand out. So then like they're 6'11", right?
Yeah, I
Really,
was gonna
really,
say he definitely stands out.
yeah.
Literally.
And I'm like, there's no way there's someone bigger than me. And then I realized who it was. Then I was like, oh, okay, there's a reason why he's bigger than me. Yeah.
He had to humble you real quick.
Oh, but that's the vibe though. Like, so even for people like visiting, I always feel that everyone that visits like the West Coast, they always end up having that like chill vibe that just wanted to go do whatever they can to enjoy the moments that they have in California, right? And so we always talk about like they always see like wellness and lifestyle, having that personal space too, but then it's being able to really find that like right community to help you get you to where you need to be. And I think like the Bay Area, LA, it encompasses all of that and a bag of chips, if I do say so myself. JT, I wanted to get your thoughts too, like uh, anything you wanted to add on the whole West Coast vibe, you know?
I mean, Hawaii is on the West Coast, right?
Sure.
Actually, okay. I'm glad that you mentioned um LA and the Bay Area, because the first time I visited there, it was I was 11 years old, and then I'm in California. It's the summertime, so I'm expecting like oh yeah, California beach life. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be hot there. I'm gonna have a nice a summer life. I was half right. Yeah, I was definitely half right, because I think where we first landed to was, I think, somewhere in Oakland. That did not feel like summer to me. I was prepared for that,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, but that was not um summer for me, because but it's weird because because at that time we actually drove across the state from Bay Area all the way down to Los Angeles, and then I start to see like a bunch of these different um, uh, culture differences, right? Like Oakland and areas like that. It's pretty uh okay. This was at that time, but I don't know how it is now. But it was pretty it was pretty mellow, a little calm. And then when I go to places like LA, that's when I started seeing all the action happening. That's when I started seeing like a bunch of um different people dressed up as different characters. I don't remember if I saw any celebrities there. Sorry, Sister Abby. uh, uh, but that was really my first experience with with that part of the West Coast. But moving further deeper into the West Coast, literally in the West Coast, Hawaii. Yeah, there's kind of like what I said earlier. There's like a very strong difference between there and here in Texas, especially with how they speak. Because I was in Hawaii uh, several months ago, and then I'm with my cousin. We're at this farmers market, right? And then we're here. Uh, we're at this. I think it was a coconut stand. Yeah, it was a coconut stand, and then we're communicating with the vendor, and she's calling him uncle, and she's also calling each other, a bunch of the other locals, cousins. And I'm like, do I know them? Do we know them? How are they related? And then they're like, oh no, that's just how we call each other. And I'm like, oh, oh. Good to know. Good to know.
So, and we love that, right?
Yeah,
Those
family.
astonishing differences just from like going as far west as Hawaii to even northern and southern California, right?
Yes.
The differences are astronomical just by region alone, right? You can even compare that South California, like the South, right? That South is different from the South, like over in like Midwest or even like in the East Coast, right? That South is completely different from California. And so now, like, we want to remind everyone again, where have you traveled in the US that felt culturally different from your hometown or even just culturally different from the area that you're from, right? So please leave those comments in the chat so we can read those later on in the show. And to move forward, actually, right, since we're talking about like the differences of like those mannerisms, how we address each other, how we interact with one another in those regions, right? Let's go ahead and dive back into Texas itself, right? We have our own set of mannerisms here in Texas. We have our own set of how we treat people, the etiquette, whether it's on the road or seeing people around. So now I'm going to go ahead and ask our crew here um, different things of Texas and what they think about it, right? The food culture in Texas, right? I wanted to get you guys' quick perspective on the food culture here compared to like food culture everywhere else in the States. Let's go ahead and start with Mayfan. What do you think about the food culture in Texas?
When they say everything is bigger in Texas, it really is. Like even the food serving is. So
Abby, as our other resident Pinoy from the Philippines, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I was actually gonna say like, well, not quite the opposite, but like I noticed, well, maybe it's just because I live in San Antonio, right? So like the food here is kind of a mix of a lot of different cultures and not just Texan food, I guess. Like a lot of it is like Mexican inspired, like Hispanic inspired. So we have a lot of Tex-Mex in San Antonio, and I don't know, I'm just a little biased because I've been here for so long, but I don't know. I
I
mean,
do second that. I
I
used to live
like
in
it.
San Antonio.
Our
Kind of like what
tacos
I said
here
last week.
really good. Yeah. Yeah, we have like really good taco spots. Um and I mean also of course like the classic Texan foods like barbecue, those are really good as well. Um but yeah, I mean I do agree. The portions are huge. That was definitely like one of the the biggest things that shocked me, no pun intended. Like I remember I think every time we would get like fast food or order out at a restaurant, I remember specifically the drinks. The drink sizes catching me off guard because a large in like the Philippines, let's say, it's not even like the size of my hand. But yeah, here like you can order like jugs of sweet tea. And I'm just like, who can even drink all of that? Like I don't
Apparently all of them can.
apparently Texans, yeah, yeah.
And you know what's crazy though? Like, um, because we really do like take pride in like whenever people come, oh yeah, everything's bigger in Texas. We're gonna give you bigger portions. We're gonna give you bigger cars, bigger roads, like everything. Like it's what makes it gives the pride and the identity of Texas, right? And so now I wanted to go ahead and ask, right? Obviously, when you're from a home place, you have that sense of identity, but Texas itself is just an identity in itself. And you can feel it whenever just mentioning the word Texas, right? So I wanted to go ahead and now ask like JT, what is that like? What's the Texas pride like? That sense of identity, like whenever you think of Texas, uh, yeah. Give me your take on that.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Like the Texas pride. How has that identity been molded, and it's different from like the other states. Like when you hear Texas, like you always think of like X, Y, and Z. Like why is that?
You know what? As someone who's been here his whole life, I don't know the uh the real answer to that. I'm sure that there's like a legit textbook answer for that, but I I actually don't know. Like so growing up, uh of course those were some of the foods that I really grew up around. a barbecue, tacos, enchiladas, Tex-Mex, all that other food. Um, but and next thing you know, when I visit the other states, they don't have that as often as we do here, right? Like here you'll see taco trucks at every corner. We have breakfast tacos, and then you go to other states. When I say the word breakfast taco, they're like, "You mean breakfast burrito?" No, I mean breakfast taco. I admire breakfast burritos, but I prefer tacos though. And then they'll say, "That's a thing." Yes, it is.
And again, that with Texas, right? That sense of identity not only leaves or is not only known within the food, but it's also like the people. It's also like the culture around it, right? And so like that in itself makes such a big impact for when people visit, and it changes the way that they approach the visit, right? And that's the goal whenever going somewhere, right? Is to understand like what the culture is within that city, within that state, and how do you adapt to that, right? So before we end the show, I wanted to go ahead and ask everyone in one word, right? Uh, what's uh, what's one word you can give to everyone as a word of advice for whenever they go somewhere, specifically in Texas, so that way they can truly enjoy the Texas experience? We can start off
S-
with Mayban.
Oh, stay, try locals, basically, try locals.
That's
If
two
you're gonna,
words.
yeah, but yeah,
Trust the locals.
trust the locals and trust the locals and try local spots. Because if you're gonna go to a different, the best example is if you're gonna visit somewhere and you're gonna go to the same place that you always go to from where you're from, like what's the point? Might as well fly back and just do your thing. Try the new things, try different things. Like best example is when we went to Japan. Although we did try McDonald's, you could really tell the difference. And we tried actual Japan food. So basically, try what the locals have to offer. Because sometimes you'd be surprised. Like, oh, there's so much more out there. It's not just this, it's not just what I grew up with, basically. There's so much more.
Abby, what about you?
Kind of similar to that point. I would say just not to judge a book by its cover. I think that's kind of what I had to learn growing up. Like, I think I was very picky as a kid, or like when it came to food, I wasn't really open to trying new things. But honestly, I've learned, yeah, like just trust the process. Um, Especially when, like, sorry, I keep talking about food, but I always think
It's
back
hey, it's
to,
that's actually one of the best parts here in Texas.
well, yeah, yeah. But I always think back to like smaller restaurants, like those like hole in the wall spots that you can't really see online, or like you might see it and you're just like, that looks kind of suspicious. Yeah, like trust it, try it out. You're gonna find out that it's probably one of your favorite spots to eat. And vice versa with, treating others with respect. Um, just being open-minded to the things and the people that you meet. So, yeah, definitely something to keep in mind when traveling to any new place at all.
And with that being said, Abby, Nathan, JT, thank you so much. We love that we were all open-minded in the things that we talked about, and being able to find that sense of home, no matter what region we're from, especially in our home in Texas.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark, for leading us in that discussion and all the more helping us appreciate Texas a little more today. So, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and to our viewers and listeners for being with us here on tonight's program. And before we wrap up our show, of course, we can never forget to thank our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo, our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Arano Vimanalo, our District Supervising Minister, Brother Noel Cadete, our Assistant District Minister, Brother Chody Sampson, our District CFO Overseer, Brother Matt Carl Talents, our Multimedia Advisor, Brother Mark Angelo Delos Reyes, our Station Manager, Brother Wally Tarai, our Overseeing Minister, Brother Edwin Asabuke, and our executive producer here for INC Radio, Brother Emmanuel and Daya. Thank you so much for all your support in these programs, Sport. And for all of our viewers and listeners, again, please don't forget to tune in to Finding Texas, which is every Friday at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time or every Friday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to subscribe to our INC Radio YouTube channel. That's INC Radio DZEM 954. And coming right after this, we have Feel at Home presented by INC Radio Caribbean. Thank you so much to our viewers and listeners. We'll see you next time.